to Floribunda Palms, and I'm really stoked. You're in my garden here. We have 2 3-acre parcels. It's a 6-acre garden, but planted in increments. We started in '87, be a propagation nursery and grow seedlings to maybe 1 gallon size plant. And I started really blindly, and then after traveling around the world into Fiji and New Caledonia and Asia and a few places, and getting to see this stuff in the wild, really got the palm fever. It's a legal addiction, and got very passionate what I'm doing. And we now have almost, according to John Dransfield, and I'm not trying to brag, but he's claimed that this is the most diverse planted garden with someone who knows the names of everything. And he's been to a lot of gardens, both botanical and private, and that's quite a compliment. And we're very close to 1,000 species in the ground on 6 acres. And I mean, they're planted close together, but they're still thriving and healthy. And in this area of 10 miles south of Hilo on volcanic soils, and with 150-inch rainfall, has got to be one of the premier places to plant palms. They're almost hydroponically being grown, but why don't we take a walk and go view some of this stuff, and quit talking about myself, and let's talk about some palm trees. Well, this is one of our shade houses that we grow 4-inch material. We're really fond of this type of a house. It has no sides, just top. It's 60%. It's about the ideal filtration for growing a nice green product. And seems to be, you get less fungus without the typical tent sides that you see in a lot of shade houses. You know, it's just the same battle growing plants. Is you got to nurture them, you got to keep them fed and weeded. And they just can be here. We have so much rainfall that we can have a lot of them look beautiful on Friday, and on Monday the fungus can come. This was a gift of mine back by Maria Boggs in Australia. She gave me this, one of my mentors, in around 2000, and told me never to sell them. It was a pear, and this is Licuala cordata. This is one of the queens of the Licuala family. It's a veritable species. There's split leaf forms. There's a form that they've just found called Ashtonii that has window panes in the leaves. But in Borneo, the leaves are 5 times bigger. This is grown in subtropical Hawaii, and you can see we've got seed and flowers, and these are our mother plants, and these are, you know, these are holy grail. Pinanga speciosa, known for its purple crown shaft. This is planted as a double, and they're very ornamental. Kind of have a little droopier leaflet. This looks a little ratty. It might be post-hurricane damage and some storm damage we had. But we got this lovely, lovely purple shaft. There's another one in here that, even in the shade, they're even darker purple. You can see they make a beautiful fruit too that turn purple when they're ripe. I was very fortunate to be, went to Fiji 5 times, and the late Dick Phillips, who was put the Fijian palms on the map, got me to a Vanuatu lady that just did the first conservation program with Carpoxylon macrospermum, and we're looking at a row of Carpoxylons that I planted along a driveway. I think they have potential of being instead of being a royal palm that gets so damn big, these have a little neater look to them and aren't as tall and so on. But Carpoxylon macrospermum is from the island of Vanuatu, and it was rediscovered by John Dow. And so I got some seeds in the around 95, 96, and I planted a row of them over in another part of the nursery. They're very big. They were in kind of a shady spot, but they're making fruit. These are in the ground 14 years, and they're starting to flower and fruit. We have a row in the back of the farm that is fruiting prolifically. We must have over 1,000, 1,500 seed. But I think this was one of the palms of the future in Floribunda's promotions for a while, and it still has tremendous potential. It's never going to be a foxtail palm because there'll never be in the seed of a foxtail palm. Plus, I don't think it has the diversity of being a foxtail as far as its the foxtails were so fast, and these are fast growers, but they may have some cold, some problems with cold weather. Of course, in Hawaii here, they're known for their recurve leaflet, and I tried to put these 15-foot on center, and they're still recurving. But if I would have went 20-foot or 25-foot, I think I would have had a much better recurve on the leaflets. And they're a little troublesome potted plant. I've had problems with them at 15 gallons here in Hawaii because they can overhydrate, even though they're from an island of similar, a volcanic island. But I don't think everyone's growing them in a nursery condition. But I mean, they sprout very fast. They grow for their first years very fast, and then they kind of slow down a bit. But they have great potential, and they still have potential for landscaping. Okay, so we're going to talk about Cyphophoenix nucele from New Caledonia, actually from a little small island grouping right off of the eastern side of New Caledonia, the Lifu Islands. I've got 2 plants here planted as a double, and another one up here. They're known for their white crown shaft, very foresty green leaflet. They are a mid-sized palm. They grow right near the ocean, so I think they have some salt tolerance potential. The people in Hawaii aren't very interested in this stuff. This is grown. Californians like it. The New Caledonia palms have some cold tolerance to them. They can take a frost and a freeze, and they may burn a bit, but they don't all die. This we have Satakentia liukiuensis from the Ryukyu Islands off of Okinawa. These are gorgeous palms. I know in Florida they're grown. They have a purple crown shaft. They grow right on. I've had the fortune to be a guest of the Japanese government and get to tour these in the wild in the southern islands of Ishigaki and Iriomote Islands, and they're very tall. They grow kind of on limestone outcroppings, and they have a seed that has short longevity. But I know these are seeding in the Keys. They're seeding in some. They're starting to become of age. I think Fairchild has it, and we've got a seeding tree, and it has great landscape potential also. This is Mauritia flexiosa. This is a male plant. There's dioecious, so there's male and females. We have 2 big males. These grow near water areas, and they like Hawaii because we're wet. And they're very ornamental. I saw them all over the place in Brazil, and it's one of the few palms that they are hesitant of cutting down because the Brazilians feel that these attract water, so water's a precious commodity. This is a new species of Reinhardtia. This is called Reinhardtia compacta. This is just on the press to be named very soon by John Dransfield and myself, or the authors. But this is from this plant. We're describing this. It's got to occur somewhere in the wild. It hasn't been found. It was a gift for me from an Australian friend with a different name on it, not the genus Reinhardtia. But anyway, it has little window panes down in here, and it has the Reinhardtia flower, and so we're stoked, and this is going to be called Reinhardtia compacta. We have Calyptocalix caudatus, Pinanga disticha, Licuala kunstleri. You know, the garden is not planted in any by country or anything. It's just, we try to put understory and understory, and it seems to keep the hybridization down. If there is hybridization, I feel Dypsis is very susceptible to hybridize, but it's more complicated. It's not as easy as it seems. These are very, very rare. I was very fortunate to get a few seeds in 2007 on my last trip to Fiji. This is Satakentia thurstonii. This is the larger Satakentia from Fiji with big stilts. It gets a purplish shaft here later, and unbelievable. 2007 we got the seed collected. We collected it, and it's 2016, so that's 9 years we have flowering plants here. And again, this is something to do with, I think, the feeding, the love, whatever. We're not turning the flowers down, because the flowers then make seed and we don't have to go back and collect it. This militaris here to the left, these are a better view at them. Bactris are gnarly, they're spiny on the backs. We have to hand pollinate these. That's not a necessity, but it's been spurring us to make seed, and we are making seed now, which this is quite a handsome, I mean, it's a palm that seeds ripe orange, and you can see that we're starting to produce from hand pollinating some fruit, and I don't think these palms have a lot of cold tolerance. They are from Central America.
What are these called again?
Bactris militaris. Wow. And here's fruit from our hand pollination. And this is a hybrid. This is a hybrid Dypsis. I'm not a big hybrid fanatic, but this is part Dypsis. Dypsis rosea crossed with Dypsis paludosa, and it's made this crazy looking beast, which a lot of people are enamored by in the garden. And these are, I'm going to call them their old name. This is Areca latiloba. It's been merged into Areca montana. I vehemently disagree. Poor botany. I don't care if it's DNA. They're different plants. Different. Out of these are Sclerosperma mannii. Sclerosperma is kind of the Marojasia of Western Africa. These come from Cameroon and a few other Western countries, but these are already flowering, and they have a very unique flower. It's amazing, because they've only been in the ground about 7 years, so that we can get them to flower so quickly. And I'm going to kind of come up this way. again, this is what we call a kind of a raised area, a kipuka, and this is blue rock. And we've ram-holed some holes. These are young Dypsis carlsmithii. We have 1, 2, 3. And you can see they're fruiting at quite an unusually young age. And and they produce a hell of a lot of seed. So this palm will never go extinct here from just this garden alone. This is Dypsis saintlucei. Saintlucei. These grow in the white sand forests of Madagascar. Beautiful to see in the wild. They're highly endangered. They're harvesting they're cutting the palm and using the crown shaft and the leaves for lobster traps. And it seems like you could use bamboo or something that would be a much better lobster trap or something, but it's just insane. They're cutting these palms out of the wild like they're hotcakes, and for some reason they're the lobster trap of South Madagascar. And they have some cold tolerance to them. And back behind here is a real pretty rare palm with the broad kind of droopy leaflets. This is the Obi Island form of Hydriastele beguinii, and I think they're Jurassic looking. They just, if you were looking around at palm leaf foliage and then you come to these, where did these suckers come from? But because the true Hydriastele beguinii has very fine leaves and looks nothing like this. There is some forms from Halmahera Island and Obi Island that even keeps like almost an entire leaflet, if you're so fortunate to find the mothers. But those are real neat, and they're big sellers for us. These are Bentinckia condapanna. This is the fastest growing palm I've had the experience of being associated with. It's a palm I was chasing for many years, and got plants or seed that turned out to be royal palms and everything else, but finally I met the right guy. These are from the southern rainforests of India, and they're highly endangered. And thank God I got some seed out of here, because now we're making our own seed. But they have a red flower, a red fruit. The fruit looks almost like a cranberry. And we've got 3 fruiting trees here, and these have only been in the ground less than 10 years. It's just amazing. We can grow a 15-gallon in 4 or 5 years. There's a good picture of the fruit. Bentinckia condapanna. And they ripen with a little different color. This is Dictyosperma furfuraceum, or some people call it conjugatum. This is the dwarf, or the smallest of the princess palms of the Dictyosperma. This is also the slowest to grow, but it might be the most ornamental also. And you can see we're finally flowering in. Making seed of that, and that's a big time find. This is Dypsis malcomberi. This is another of the Dypsis that kind of is in the same family as Hovomancina and Mannii, and very tiny small seed, but shoot, we make a lot of seed off this thing. 4,000 or 5,000 a crack. That's Masoala madagascariensis. That's could be one of my rarer palms, one of the slower to grow. And this is a small one. This is a smaller planted one. So they morphologically change a whole bunch. They get yellow as they get older. But this is a smaller, and what you might have in in your nursery or any collector that might have it. And here's one of the showpieces of Floribunda. This is Cyphophoenix alui, and with 2 flowers out on it, and the bees hitting the male flowers right now, and hopefully we'll either pollinate it to set seed, or it will set seed on its own with the 2 flowers. I'm hoping it does on its own, but we've been collecting male pollen. The bees are on it right now, and still more males to come, and females will come out soon. And without touting our horn too much, this probably is the largest cultivated Cyphophoenix in the world, at least that I know of, and if it's not, then I'm happy to say there's more of them. But Australia used to have some big boys, and they blew down in a cyclone. That's Dypsis. This is a new palm that's described by John Dransfield and myself from this garden. And it hasn't, I mean, it does come from the wild. I have pictures of it in the wild. John hasn't found it, but it's another one they need to try to locate. It was described from plants in my garden. I have some bigger ones, but it's a rare Dypsis, very ornamental and very weird, styrofoam-like. The new push is almost, feels like styrofoam, and the colors are just, it's beyond white. Actually, the leaf tips are white, but if you feel this and feel, I mean, leucomalla means white wool, and the flower has white wool like an antler. Like, I mean, feel that. I call it the half animal, half palm. It's animal-like. You just don't feel, I mean, I'm a touchy-feely guy in the bush, and I've never, I mean, you could feel that on an antler or by an antler of an animal or something, but this is very strange for plants to have this. And then in its flower sheath that wraps around the flower, it's very thick fuzz, but they're very gorgeous. And then this crown shaft is white, and it turns brown fuzzy after it gets older. Behind us we have a little grove of Neovichia storchii. These are from Fiji and have a white trunk, kind of a blackish crown. Background of Neovichias. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, hard to photograph, Linda. That's the problem. I mean, maybe with these high-tech cameras, it's the lighting in the back.
Yeah, they do pretty good
This
these
is
days.
Philetocarpus macrocarpus. This is like kind of the Livistona of Asia. It's got some gnarly-ass spines on them. Big fan palm. These things are, I've seen them 60, 70 feet. They have this beautiful marking of the yellow on the petiole. But, you know, these things are, maybe they'll flower early. I mean, I saw them in Malaysia. It's just, it's the tallest tree I saw. So, I mean, the tallest palm I saw, and 50, 60 feet. So, very interesting and ornamental. This is a little bed of Johannes Tasmania magnifica. This is one of the starting to become quite endangered Johannes Tasmania. This is the silverback one. I've got 2 large-sized ones in the first part of the bed that are close to seeding size, and then we have these other ones that I've grown from seed to try to see if we can get a little population for seed. It seems like we get Joey about every 2-3 years, and it seems like it's dwindling and dwindling, and how many seed you can get, because the population has been is quickly being destroyed. Okay, so this is a Dypsis that's being described soon, hopefully, in the new Palms of Madagascar book, number 2. This is called Dypsis AFF, or Specie Bijoufa, B-E-J-O-U-F-A, or Bijoufa. We've been selling plants of this for the last few years. They have a big brain type of seed when it's cleaned. It's just not in the best location. It's loaded with moss and stuff. They have beautiful white rings and nice trunk. There's actually 3 of them in a row, and one's being dwarfed out. But anyway, this is the mother making the seeds, and we're hoping to get a name on it. Seeds are like big, the large marbles when they're, as far as size, when they're ripe. This is Mauritia darianii. These are Jurassic plants from Madagascar. They're litter collectors. They can get up to 40-foot, 30-foot leaflets. These are right out in the sun, so they're not stretching for light, so they don't have that kind of leaflet. But they're bigger than anything I saw in Madagascar. I'm not saying that the mother plants in Madagascar aren't big, but I just didn't see a lot of colonies. And I've had some problems. These things all seem to be males. There's Mauritia darianii, which these are, and Cygnus, and there's a third population and that they're vacillating over. But I wish I could get the leaves all cut, but we have 3 of them. These are about 25 years old. There's a smaller one in the back that's probably 20. And you can see the old spent male flowers hanging down. They're kind of like wedlock. They have a unique watering system also, because of their entire leaves. Very interesting. You can be underneath these in a big rain, and it's like a drip irrigation that just kind of comes down off the trunk, and you can kind of see the roots, how they react to the... But these are the old male flowers, and we just haven't had any success making viable female flowers, and it's just kind of thrown me for a loop on this. This is Dypsis mannii. This is the mealybug palm. We've got 3 of them. This was a sick one. It was planted over next to my first original 2, and I took it out and gave it artificial respiration in a nursery pot for about 8 months, and then decided I didn't want to plant it next to the other 2 because they had gotten so much bigger, and we planted this here. But this grows to be about 50 feet in Madagascar, and we have them flowering here on the property, producing 5 and 10,000 seed of flower. But these are noted for their mealybug on the petioles. They're losing some of that now as they become adult. They still speckle with white, but they have colors with red and black, and this could be flowering. This white tomentum is a waxy substance that's known to be on a lot of the Madagascar palms. It's a hindrance and a protection device for, it's like what we use for sunscreen and so on. And you can see this is flower opening up naturally. And I'm going to take this out of the sheath, and here's a potential 5,000 or 6,000 more seeds of the the great form of Dypsis manningariensis with all the colors.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
So, backtracking just a little bit, this is Licuala matinensis, variation possesecta. These are these are related to Licuala mapu, and you can see their seeding here. They have the fusiform type of seed, and these are very fast to grow. I've grown these very fast. It would take me 25 years to grow a mapu this big, and they're really a mapu that doesn't model. And we have a nice little grove of those that are helping make seed. This is the Carpoxylon amazonicum, zonicum. It's the equatorial Carpoxylon. Most Carpoxylons live way up in higher elevation. This is the equatorial one. Rare palm seeds got me some seeds, and it's seeming to do quite well here, and I'm really stoked because I've tried to grow other Carpoxylons, and we struggle with them because they're high elevation and just don't like it. And then the kind of showpiece over here is these Hydriasteles, and I don't know, Robin, this one may be the easiest to show, but it's not the tallest, but you can see the fruit, and you can see how they flower all up the stems. But they're happy, and we have large ones back behind you that they put out this swirling inflorescence or flower and open up. But these are all ripe seed on here. The rats are cleaning, I guess. These are Areca epot over here. Dwarfed Areca with big seed, and you can see we're loaded with seed, and they're a neat smaller Areca for a garden that can only fit in small things. Basilonga. These are very rare. Basilonga means from the basal leaf droop. You see all the drooping of the leaflets. That's called a basal leaf droop. And they get this, they're getting this black trunk, which I never read any description. This isn't mold. And they're all getting it. So kind of they have a glaucous blue leaflet, and we've been making seed and selling these. These are a nice mid-sized Dypsis and should go in any garden. Kind of related to a saintlucei, but non-plumose. Here's Dypsis prestoniana in all its glory. Bees are on it like crazy. So Dypsis prestoniana, flowering goes out, seeds red, many different leaf forms of prestoniana.
Do they usually have this type of leaf? Or
well, they just vary in their pinnae. They can be finer or broader. I have them all different styles. Those look a little whiter than in the plumoseness of the leaflet. And this is still kind of young to be. These things are 60-foot palms in the wild. Pelagodoxa henriana, choked with big fruit here. This is the Fijian Pelagodoxa. These are noted for their warty, corky fruit, and fruit takes 2 years on the tree before it starts to fall, so it is another lesson in patience, which I don't have. And the reason I want you to come over here is this is Cyphophoenix alba, or formerly Veonia alba. You have 3 plants up. These are from New Caledonia. I threw my boot to knock the seed off, and my boot got caught. And we had to knock my boot out of the tree in the wild, so it comes with a story. It's amazing. We've been seeding these for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. These were collected in 1995. And I don't really know if this is really a Cyphophoenix. It looks more like a Bactris to me, the seed shape and size. But, you know, this is Dypsis robusta. We named this from this tree in my garden, and we found it in Australia. Found it in Madagascar when I was with John Dransfield in 2008. So it's not just in this garden, it actually did come from Madagascar. It's flowering right now. It probably has the biggest flower of any of the big Malagasy Dypsis. About 3 foot by 9 foot flower. And we've made, I think the record was 52 or 62,000 seeds off 2 flowers. Which is just, you know, take them to the other side of the fence and bury most of them. This is Dypsis species Hancona, with its lovely white crown shaft. Was thought to be Hovomancina when the first time John Dransfield's here. We've grown plants. It's flowered and seeded, and it doesn't match anything that of Hovomancina, and it's not. I hate to keep saying we got all these palms that aren't in the book, but this isn't in the book and needs to get a name. The DNA and all that's been collected, and hopefully it gets remembered. Linda, this is all males. So the females are right in here, these little small little petite flowers, and they're just starting to get little white. Some of them have white tips, and that's their stamen, and so you can, it's like, see, that one's open. You see that female's open, so you get that and touch that, and baby, you just pregnated that one.
That's awesome.
This is Hydriastele flabellatum. These are like giant Hydriastele pinangoides on steroids. They're another species called flabellatum, loaded with seed. Big bifid or kind of duckfoot leaf. Oh, I lost some stems off that one. This is Dypsis leucomalla. This is the hairy Dypsis that we showed you earlier in the garden. Has a very white, like styrofoam leaves. I mean petioles and leaf pushes. It has a very the flower sheath is where we named it. Leucomalla means white wool. It has this white woolly substance all over the crown shaft, all over the flower sheath. We've got another Dypsis here that came in as Ovid vendrina, and I thought it was just a bunch of bull because they look just like Dypsis lastelliana as young plants. And I think I sold most of them as lastelliana, but thank God I held on to about 5 or 6 of them, and had them in 5-gallon pots, and noticed that the leaflets started to become irregular and almost start to get plumose. And so you can see these things have this, it's not quite as like Lasteliana, there's red, but it's losing that and kind of making this white glaucous color. And I think these are going to be true Dypsis nauseosa. There's a lot of people that disagree with me, but anyway, everyone has a right. But these are some unique Dypsis that are valid species.
It's amazing.
The rare Loxococos rupicola up in here. Kind of got shitty looking leaves on the outside, but they're all flowering. Right up in here, this is Loxococos rupicola. They're from Sri Lanka. Another one of these palms that was on the bucket list, and finally I got the right person to get me some seed. And then they made seed here in about 8 years. Those are very squat, short. They should be a good 25 feet in habitat. Oh, Robin, I'm about done for today.
We made a pretty good dent.